Good morning. We are at the midpoint in the 14th week of Ordinary Time in our church year. And this week I would like to explain something that all of us are very familiar with, and at every Mass we all do this, and it's that triple sign of the cross. We make the sign of the cross on our foreheads, our lips, and our heart right before the gospel itself is read. Well, the Church calls this small sign of the cross to distinguish it from the sign of the cross we make at the beginning of Mass, that we all make when the final blessing and dismissal is given at Mass, or even when we begin our own prayers. Well, there's a very good reason, and it has to do both with the nature of the divinely inspired Word of God, especially as it's proclaimed to us in the Gospel, but also it has something else to do with the moral life that all of us are to do our very best to live in a Christ-like fashion. But also there's that connection to then how do we put into practice what has been communicated to us by God through His inspired Word of the Gospel. And that part of it is quite important. And so, as the Church has always taught us, that the opposite of the good, or that which is a virtue, is sin and vice. And the Church teaches us that we are very capable of sinning in our thoughts, our words, and our actions. When we prepare ourselves to receive this divine communication through the gospel from God to each of us, to prepare ourselves and to, in a certain sense, arm ourselves for living what we hear from God, we sign ourselves on our foreheads and as a way of protecting our thoughts from sin and temptation. We sign ourselves with the cross on our lips, again to protect our speech and our speaking from sin and temptation. And then we sign ourselves with the cross on our hearts, the heart representing really us as persons, so that we now guard and defend ourselves through the power of grace from sins of actions that we perform. And so it's a beautiful way not only of preparing ourselves and opening ourselves up to receive this communication from God to us through His inspired Word of the Gospel, but then it also moves us in our thoughts, words, and actions to be faithful to what God is telling us in the Gospel. And the best way we do that is to avoid the temptations to sin in our thoughts, words, and actions. May you continue to enjoy this beautiful summer, and may you continue in your prayers and good works to strengthen your faith and hope and charity.